Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. We've got several questions here I'll ask you, and if you guys could help answer by a show of hands, I'd appreciate it. First, I'd like to know how many people here today have lost a job or have a close friend or family member that have lost a job in the past year. Are you happy about that?
Are you happy about that? Yeah.
How many people here today run your own small business? How many of you have had to lay people off because of this economy and had to burden yourself and your remaining workforce with a much heavier workload? Are you happy about that?
No!
How many of you have seen your paychecks dwindle? Are you happy about that?
No!
And how many of you have had to cut back on things you might have become used to, such as time with your families, less money to give to your church and charities, roomier and safer vehicles, vacations, cable television, eating out, etc. Are you happy about that? You know something though? We're going to be okay. Because like our grandparents and great-grandparents before us, we are still Americans, and we will still find a way to prevail. But now let me ask you this. How many of us know folks in the government that have lost jobs? Although I wouldn't wish the loss of a livelihood on anyone, isn't this a bit suspicious? Isn't this a bit outrageous? How many know of government workers that have taken pay cuts? When there are less of us working and taking home even less money, how is it that the U.S. Mail Service is giving themselves raises? How is it that those in government continue to get raises? Most federal employees have received a 3.9% pay increase this year. Is this unacceptable?
Yes!
You're dang right it is.
Sit on that.
I want to make clear I have nothing against anyone working for government, as I have many friends that do. And heck, when they've got the best benefits and more paid days off each year than several private businesses put together, it's hard to blame them. You know, when there's more people working for government and dependent on government than there are of us out here working to support them, that's a problem. Who do you think their votes are naturally going to swing toward? Whatever party secures their jobs, benefits, or subsidies. How many here have seen their property taxes, sales taxes, income taxes, capital gains taxes, or any taxes go down since this economy turned south? This is unacceptable. You know, there's a reason why America is the greatest nation ever known to mankind. There's a reason why we invented the cotton gin, electricity, the telephone, the automobile, the airplane, computers, the internet, peanut butter, and even the Big Mac. It was because of our freedoms. Freedoms from government oppression and control. Freedom to make the most of our God-given talents and abilities. The human being, by God's design, is meant to be free, to achieve to his potential. There's a reason why we do more for the poor, the downtrodden and oppressed throughout the world than any civilization in history. And it's because we have Judeo-Christian values in this country. This is our history, and let us not forget it. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So what are we going to do to change this avalanche of destruction happening to our country? This trotting on our Constitution and our freedoms that our forefathers fought so hard and died for to free us from. Here's 13 things to demand change in starting now. And these aren't intended in any particular order of importance. Number 1, quit treating our elected officials like celebrities and little deities. They are under us. They are to serve us and not the other way around. Number 2, when we see our elected officials on the street, confront them with what you disagree with them on and demand an answer for why they're not standing true to their promises. Certainly, if they're doing their job, go out of your way to commend them for it. If they're not, do everything you possibly can to get them out of office next time they come up for vote. Number 3, demand morality in our leaders. We're not simply a nation of fiscal function. We are first and foremost a nation that believes in and wishes to remain in the graces of God. In God we trust. Number 4, demand term limits on all elected or appointed officials, especially judges, especially Supreme Court justices. Do any of us have a 100% guarantee that we will have our jobs for the rest of our lives? Then neither should our servants.
That's right.
Number 5, we are to make our laws, not a group of high and mighty judges that circumvent our system and bypass the democratic process.
That's right.
We are moving back into an oligarchy. These courts must have their self-appointed authority stripped from them now.
Absolutely.
Number 6, we must begin demanding laws be made to protect us and not the lawyers that write them.
Yeah.
Number 7, we must demand that our servants in Congress have no better or different options for health care, retirement, or other benefits than any American civilian that has a job. Number 8, we need to demand that anyone receiving any type of government subsidy pass a drug test before receiving a subsidy. We have to pass drug tests to work. They should have to pass drug tests not to work. We all want to help the poor, those who legitimately cannot take care of themselves and are elderly. But the manipulation of the system by leeches needs to stop now. Welfare should not be open-ended for those who are physically capable of earning a living. Number 10, anyone allowed to vote should have to pass a minimum competency test about American history. We don't know our history, what are we going to do? We're bound to repeat it. They also must be an American citizen, be able to speak English, and provide 3 valid forms of ID. Number 11, we need to continually and resiliently demand that government continue to shrink rather than grow. Our taxes must go down. Our taxes must go down. Those running for office should be proud to run on the premise that they will shrink government at every turn and privatize as many functions of the government as possible. Give the power back to the people. And number 12, we must demand that our churches be able to preach the full truth of our faiths, as long as they're not preaching or insinuating violence, without having to be in fear of losing their tax-exempt status or being in violation of some contrived hate crime. As Christians, we all know that we are taught to love the sinner, as we are all sinners, but to hate our sin and constantly work to cleanse it from ourselves and our society. There's no danger in hate from what we preach. We preach love and forgiveness, but we also shine light on sin and will continue to work against anything that is against God's moral code, moral law. We will continue to preach against sin without fear of retribution. Just because the truth of our faith may offend the very small percentage of the population that will choose to live in and champion moral depravity, that's not a good enough reason to roll over and give in to their weak strategies to shut us up. Number 13, we must be ever active. We must be ever vigilant. We must never quit. We must win. God bless you and God bless this great nation. It's our duty to protect her.